Mr.
Thanks, Chair. All right. Okay. Are you ready, General?
I'm ready, Chair.
I just wanted to, on the issue of the implementation and the instructions that we've already discussed, the various instructions that you had issued. You recall you issued those instructions and you required immediate action. You said it's for immediate compliance. Do you recall that?
That is correct, Chair.
And you also said that what you anticipated was that the dockets would be, at some point, transferred to the murder and robbery unit, to investigators in that unit to take over. Is that right?
That's what was supposed to happen.
And at any point before issuing that instruction that should happen, well, first of all, we've not seen that instruction. Let me just be clear. You say that's what you expected, but we don't actually see an instruction from you that it should go to murder and robbery, right?
I think it is contained in the letter. I need to just remind myself.
We don't need to detain ourselves on that. Let's say that was your expectation. Did you satisfy yourself that there was capacity within the murder and robbery unit to absorb these dockets?
Yes, all I know is that there is murder and robbery unit in KZN.
All you know is that there is a murder and robbery unit in KZN. That in your view, had the capacity to absorb these dockets?
Very much so.
You satisfied yourself as to that?
Yes.
So why then, in July 2025, did you have to make a request for funding for a new team to be established to handle the dockets? Why didn't you, at that point, send it to the murder and robbery unit that you say had the capacity to handle it?
Chair, we discussed this point, and I did mention that because of the fact that the National Commissioner, the Provincial Commissioner rejected the docket, we had to come up with a plan. And in coming up with a plan, we could not just call people and say, go to Durban to go and conduct investigations. You needed to put a budget together because people must be accommodated because they will be coming all from outside KZN. They don't even know KZN, so you also need protection. Because then if the Provincial Commissioner say, I don't want them in the province, and the National Commissioner allowed him to say that, now from head office, we have to make sure that there's continuity. And in so doing, we had to put a budget together.
So you had to constitute a new task team to deal with the dockets?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That was my question on the dockets. As far as implementation goes.
General, before all that, why did you not wait until the detectives that were already part of the PKTT were assigned to the murder and robbery unit in KZN? Because if I understood you correctly, you said because they were already in KZN, the detectives who are members of the PKTT, they could continue with the investigations, but they could do so now being part of the murder and robbery unit. Isn't a sensible thing to do before you remove dockets and you reallocate them, is to actually reallocate the detectives so that once you know that there are detectives in place in KZN who are able to continue with the investigations, they are no longer part of PKTT, they are now part of the murder and robbery unit. Only then do you withdraw dockets and assign. Isn't that the sensible thing to do?
Chair, may you allow me to respond it in this way? If we all agree, let's take for a moment that we are all in agreement and this is what we want to do. We are not in defiance. We want to implement this decision of the minister. And then I wrote that letter that says, by this time it must happen, or it must have happened. All what will happen is that even because we are all, it's all system go, we all agree. And then from there, what will happen is that General Sintumile and General Kumalo will do a handing over. General Kumalo will say, okay, murder and robbery unit commander and deputy, let us have a meeting. They will have a meeting and say, now that the decision has been taken to disband that side, now all these dockets now become to murder and robbery unit. Branch commander, here are your dockets now, sign over, hand over. Then all the investigators, the resources get also attended to, in a sense that, let's say the decision that was to be taken was that, okay, in any event, they all work in KZN. Let's take them all and make them part of the murder and robbery unit. The work still continues as normal. But if that is not the case, others will need to go back to Limpopo, Northwest, wherever they come from. We're still strengthening the other murder and robbery unit in those respective environments. But the fact that the docket could be handed over to the branch commander or to the deputy provincial commissioner to sign for, it really doesn't change or make impact that much, because let's say you die today as an investigating officer having 400 cases. We still have to take your cases and redistribute them or take them and make a plan on those dockets. I'm just giving you a clear example of a member who died now, having so many cases. Those dockets, they are not left somewhere, they just dealt with the normal way. So even the PKTT's approach, when you disband, it's not like there was any commission of crime in the manner in which it was being done, or any irregularity, or any something that was not supposed that is happening, that is constituting a breach of some sort of law or standing order. It was all in the name of work, the processes. If where there was an error of judgment, maybe perhaps I will accept it, commissioners, where the commissioners will say, yeah, but do you agree that there was a disturbance in terms of, say, the attendance of those dockets? And then why did you do this? Some of the things may be an error of judgment, but no malice intent was intended. It was just all in the interest of work and making sure that this process does not take too long. Thank you, Chair.
After that long explanation, do you accept that the proper thing to do is to first plan for what's going to happen with the dockets, and then you remove and reallocate dockets? Because you cannot reallocate them to non-existent detectives. When you reallocate them, you must know that there are detectives there who are qualified, who will take over the investigations. Do you accept that the planning must happen before the removal of the dockets? Simple.
I do accept, Commissioner, and also the fact that this document, that the one that I signed, makes provision for that they must then go to be transferred to Madam.
General, let's not go there. You accepted that your document was rejected by General Masemola. He went with Kumalo's plan. So it doesn't help to keep going back to a document that was rejected. It was not accepted. You were at the parliamentary briefing. You were at the 6 March briefing. You know that it was not your document that was presented. It was something else. You know that. Thank you, Mr. Sim.
Thank you. Sorry, General, did you want to respond?
Chair, what I know is that what was presented to Parliament, what was saying we are disbanding. That what was presented in Parliament, is that what was saying we are disbanding. That's what I know. And there was no objection from any direction.
But General, the big difference between what was presented and what you did was how you're going to go about it. Your document is immediate disbandment. As we discussed it, you immediately said things now fall under General Sintumule, and you gave all of those instructions of things that should happen, and you continued to do that in your subsequent correspondence, when in fact the National Commissioner's position was we're going to do this gradually. So you're right to say in Parliament, there was no disagreement with the disbandment, at least what was presented in Parliament. It was about how it is done. And we're having this big debate with you, and suggestions have been made about your motives, why you approached it in a certain way. It's this big difference that you were going for immediate disbandment when the National Commissioner wanted a gradual winding up. And so you were implementing, the two of you were implementing different strategies.
No, Chair. At some point, I began to, especially after Parliament, I began to realize, because I was there, that, okay, this is how it's going to be undertaken. And then I fell into the same line of thinking. The only difference became now when the dockets now were at head office. Then I say, all right, now that the dockets are at head office, let this docket then be transferred immediately. Let this process take place. Maybe I must accept that for me then to have said also, let them also, the members reporting back to their respective environment, maybe I must accept there that it could have been an error of judgment there, and I'm taking that part responsibility.
But that's not the only difference. It's not about when the dockets had now arrived. We went through your different letters and the presentation in Parliament, which is that gradual way of doing things. This is the General Khumalo presentation, and you say you were present. You still went and issued a letter in April that contradicted something that was in that plan. And that's something, there was an endless discussion with Ms. Hassan this morning about it, where the plan was the court-going dockets should remain, should not be part of what is handed over. They should remain with whoever the investigators, I think it is. And you offered, you gave a contrary instruction in April. So there was, you did fundamentally differ with what was done or what was preferred by General Masimon.
Yes, commissioners, I do hear and understand. But for the court docket, when we talk about court dockets, we're talking about investigation that has been concluded. It's a court docket. Now, those ones, it's not the reason why you should still keep the task team still alive, because these are dockets that have been investigated, even if a person is
Let me stop you. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that's why the task team should have continued. I was just dealing with you saying the only difference was about the dockets, that, the dockets were brought up to General Sintumule, and as soon as you found out, you ordered they should go back. And I was just correcting that no, there was another point of difference between what you were doing and what the National Commissioner and General Khumalo were proposing and approved by the minister to be done. One example is this issue about the court enrolled dockets, I think that's what it is called. You said even those must be given to General Sintumule, when in fact, the plan that ultimately in that 6 March meeting, the minister says, I was okay with it, said those should remain with the investigators. So that's another point of difference between your plan and what you were doing and General Masemola / General Khumalo's plan and what they were proposing. That's all I was pointing out. You can comment, General, if you want to. I don't want you to.
We were. I want to comment, but I wanted to finish that. We were all on a transition or transitional period where we're saying task teams must be disestablished and we must capacitate the units that are established and for the murder and robbery unit to function. At some point, we need to bite the bullet and make sure that we capacitate once and for all murder and robbery unit to be effective. And that is, from my angle, I was moving from the person who's actually managing the performance of the detectives. From my angle, I'm just trying to ask the commission not to limit the performance of my responsibilities to the mistakes that might have happened or taken place only because of the portion of the PKTT. But in my case, incapacitating the murder and robbery unit, we needed to make sure that we need all the capacities that we have, all the experience that we have in those structures so that we have a capable state.
Thank you, General. Thank you.
Thanks. Can we move to another topic? And this is just to address something that you have raised on multiple occasions, and that is that when an inspection was done of the dockets that were brought up to head office, what was found was, in fact, they had been gathering dust with the PKTT. There had not been investigations for many years of those dockets. Am I summarizing what you said correctly?
Correct.
But of course, you did not mean 100% of the dockets.
Yes.
Yes.
Chair, I'm referring to the 121 docket.
Yes.
And even
But what I'm saying is you did not mean 100% of the 121. You referred to examples 20, I think 17, 18, 19, 20, and so on, but not 100% of those dockets. Yes, Ms. Hassim.
Thank you, Chair. Are you aware that only 92 of the dockets were audited? 92 of the 121? Are you aware of that?
I cannot agree with it, Chair. And why I say I cannot agree with it, I'm basing on what I have, the document. Personally, I have never seen even a single docket. So if the question is, how can you not agree when you have never seen a docket, I will accept. But with the list that we have here, and where I am told that this is the list of the dockets that we inspected. If this is the list of the dockets that we inspected, I will take it that these are the dockets that were inspected. And instead, maybe rather, if the chair could say, can then General Motsepe come and bring all those dockets here so that we see, because they made entries in those dockets.
We've already gone.
Sorry, Ms. Hassim. I just need clarity on one thing, just to make sure that you are not talking past each other. General, is there a difference between auditing dockets and inspecting dockets? Do you know?
Yes, there is a vast difference. There is a difference between auditing and inspecting.
What's the difference?
The difference when you inspect a docket is when you inspect a docket, but when you audit.
No, you can't define a term by using the same term, General. You can't say when you inspect a docket, you inspect a docket.
When you inspect a docket, Chair, is when you take a docket and then you you look into compliance, you look into, you have many, because there's in terms of the national instructions, inspection, the management of case docket, and how you manage a docket, and then so when you inspect a docket, you check that this docket is being run or managed in terms of the national instructions. In other words, when the docket is opened, was it put forward for 24-hour inspection? In other words, when a docket gets opened today, the very next morning it must be before the commander, who must read it and then give instructions and give a brought forward date and say, bring this docket again on this date, I want to see it. And then you keep on giving instructions and directions as well. So this is now a docket inspection. Now, when you do auditing, is when you look at the number of dockets that are there, that you have, the number of dockets that have been closed, the number of dockets that are in court, the number of dockets that have been closed as undetected. It's a whole lot of them that you can say, this is docket. You audit now the numbers and a lot of things. It may include compliance according to the standard of maybe the Auditor General, how they also choose to audit in terms of their work.
Oh, when you referred to the process that was engaged in, which yielded the results that X number of dockets were last investigated on these dates, was that an inspection or an audit? That is the process in terms of which you became aware that some dockets had last been investigated in 2017, 18, and so on. Was that an inspection or an audit?
It was both. Both in terms of the number of dockets, and when you look at the, let's say your C5 document, your investigation diary, you look at the number of statements that were obtained. And then you look at, you read, you count the statements, and then you see according to the annexes listed there, now you know that, okay, in this docket, we received 20 statements and they are all accounted for. Put one side.
Thank you. Ms. Asima, just because I think the general had been using inspect, and you used audit. So I just wanted to make sure that you're talking about the same thing. Now you've heard his explanation, you may proceed with your questions.
Maybe before that, Ms. Assi, I don't know if it might not help the discussion you want to have. Paragraph 28 of General Mtsipe's statement. Maybe you want to look at that.
Thank you, Commissioner. So what General Motsepe refers to is an audit.
Which is exactly the term you use.
Which is the term I use because she was in charge of that process. And she says that she conducted an audit of the 121 dockets, and then she says who the team was made up of. She says she was not directly involved in the audit exercise, but she did a few spot checks of the dockets, okay? Now, it's that audit that I'm referring to, that of the 121, in fact, when we looked at it, only 92 were audited. Did you find something different? Did you look at each of them?
I indicated earlier, Chair, that I've never seen a single document or docket. However, whether it was 92 or it was 121, still the same thing in terms of the process that we are looking at.
What I'm saying to you is that 92 dockets were audited.
Still fine.
Sorry?
It's still okay.
It's okay, all right. And of those 92, 46 were related to the traditional leader killings. Are you aware of that?
Chair, I will be shooting from my head. Unless I'm to be assisted to agree with it, but I don't think there's anything I want to really deny or in this regard.
I'll help you with it. I don't want you to agree to something if you're not comfortable agreeing. So let's just go to the record so you can see it. It's in file 6. It's actually from the reports that were being prepared for the minister. So if we just go to file 6, page 371.
File?
6. I think it's file 6.
On the same breath, Chair, may I make a request that on the same breath, are we going to also look into how many were not political related, and how many were drugs, and how many were political killings?
Well, yeah, it's very clear from all the presentations that have been made to you and the minister in these reports.
Page?
371.
I've got it, Chair.
Okay. So you'll see traditional leadership related cases at the top of the page. And it says 51 in total. Do you see that?
Yeah, traditional leadership related cases 51, yes, I see.
Okay. But it's broken down further in that table below the heading. And the number that concerns us is the one under blue, because those were the ones that were under investigation and had been transferred. It's 44 plus 1, so 46. Do you see that?
I see.
Okay. So 46 of the 92 that were audited were traditional leadership killing cases. Now, the importance of that is that the mandate of the political killings task team was extended to include the traditional leadership related cases from 1st April 2024. And just for the sake of the record, you'll find that extension in the same file 6 at page 609.
But can I comment?
Sorry, did you say you want to comment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I?
Yes,
Yeah.
General, yes.
At the same time, I like this example that you're giving me, program evidence leader. You are saying to me, all the cases, traditional leadership related cases is 51. And then we are saying murder is 44, one attempted murder, kidnapping 1. Now we are saying pending DPP's decision is only 2. Court-going cases only 3 out of 51. And we're saying this is good work. So I just wanted to point that angle.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
if you let me finish, then you'll understand why what you're saying now is actually absolutely incorrect. And it's gratuitous, because you are intent on attacking the work of this task team, or else you wouldn't make that comment. So let me finish. 46 of the 92 dockets that were audited were traditional leadership-related cases, okay? I was taking you to the mandate. You find that on file 6 at page 609, okay?
Page 6. File
610. Well, 609.
609.
609.
That's red 609, bottom of the page.
At the bottom of the page, Chair.
Somebody once said,
That's,
let me.
Thanks. I'm on it, Chair.
so you'll see the first bullet point on that page.
I see there.
It says the mandate of the task team has been extended with effect from 1 April 2024 to include the investigation of cases involving the killings of traditional leaders in KwaZulu-Natal. Okay? So this...
And that was approved by Eugene. Oh, no. No, you recommended. What? Yeah.
It was recommended by General Sibia.
Oh, yeah. Yes. At page 610.
Yeah.
Yes. You see that?
Here, I hope we are dealing with the financial authority, not the extension of the mandate.
Yes, you approved the budget
Okay.
to be expanded because
Yes,
of
yes.
this extended mandate. Yes. So the team was only, the mandate of this team to take on these cases was only extended on the 1st of April. In fact, the signatures here are later in April. So although it starts from 1st of April, by the time dockets would have been transferred to this team would have been sometime after signature of this document that we were just looking at. Correct?
Yes.
And at the time that the audit was done, so this is 2024, April 2024, okay? And the audit is done a year later. So the team had only received these dockets for a short period of time. Do you agree?
No, I don't agree. They come back a long way with the political killing. With the political killing since 2018, 2019. This traditional cases was also really being investigated, or unless I don't understand the question.
No, it wasn't being investigated by this task team. There would have been, these were dockets that were assigned to the task team. These were not dockets that were being investigated by the task team prior to April 2024.
I don't agree.
General, what does it mean? What do you understand it to mean that their mandate was, they were granted a mandate on the 1st of April 2024 then to deal with the killings of traditional leaders?
Not even that.
It's actually the 16th, yes. What do you understand that to mean?
It means that their mandate now has been extended to also begin to investigate the traditional killing cases.
And until that mandate is given, did they have authority to investigate the killings of traditional leaders before this mandate on the 16th of April?
I would say yes.
From where?
The provincial commissioner decides on what matter to allocate to who.
So are you saying it didn't matter? They actually didn't need a mandate to be given to them on the 16th of April?
For me to accept this point, Chair, may we go to the list, the one that contains the inspection that was conducted, all those things. Remember where I was saying the last date of inspection was this? Because it tells us the case number the case numbers.
But General, I'm very sorry to interrupt my colleague. In response to Commissioner Baloy's second last question, you said the effect of the mandate was to allow them to, open quote, begin, close quote, investigating these matters as well. So they can't begin if they were already doing it, General.
What's your answer to that?
Personally, I feel that, Chair, the involvement into them investigating traditional leaders' cases didn't start with effect from this date.
When did it start, General?
That's why I want to ask commissioners to refer to that document whilst we are still on the subject.
No, I can suggest to you that that won't help us because you've already said, let's look at the case number. We know case numbers, cases get open and they have an earlier date. We are now talking about on the 16th of April 2024, someone thought for them to now investigate these cases, these old cases, as you referred to, we need them to be given a specific mandate to do that.
You see, the problem that I think the commissioners need to be aware of is that each and every motivation they are putting in to request for funding, they write one and the same wording. One and the same wording. Even when you look at the other ones preceding this one, they will still write the same wording.
But in this case, General, we are concerned about the date when they were given a mandate. Forget the other paragraphs in this motivation. This motivation for funding tells us when they were given the mandate to investigate the killings of traditional leaders. And what Ms. Hassem is discussing with you is that effectively the earliest they had authority, a mandate, the earliest is the 16th, but you've agreed with her that dockets would have been given to them later beyond this date, which seems to, now you're changing that and saying, well, they always had the dockets, they could have investigated them. But put that aside. That's what she's seeking to discuss with you. And I don't understand how you have a difficulty with just simply giving the straight answer that, yes, the authority to investigate they only got at some point in April 2024. I'm not sure, not that I'm sure, I don't understand why you have a difficulty with that.
Chair, are we able to look into the document that I'm referring to so that I can also feel comfortable around that the response I have to, because it's binding.
Which document would you like to?
May I just establish this before you take us there? Do you agree that upon its inception, the PKTT was mandated to investigate political killings?
I accept that, Chair.
And do you accept that that mandate was extended at a later stage to investigate something else, that is, or rather, in addition to political killings, the PKTT was now to investigate something else as well? Do you accept that?
Traditional leader, I accept that, Chair.
But between inception and the date of extension of the mandate, it could only investigate political killings. You accept that? That is, before the extension, between inception and extension, it could only investigate political killings. Do you accept that?
We could only but it doesn't necessarily mean it was what happened or what they were doing.
So I was saying they were able to go beyond their mandate even before their mandate was extended. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
And you say the answer for that lies in the document you want to refer us to.
that is correct.
Please take us there, and I hope we will find that.
You are looking for SS 19, file 2339. It's file 2. So, General, this is the handover report when the dockets were
This one.
delivered on the 28th of March.
I need, I'm getting there, Chair, let me get to this one. Yes, this one. File 3 of 10, Chair.
2. No, file 2. Oh, 3.
File 3 of 10, SS 23. When we look at number 2, Mpopeni matter, it's a murder case, not political related. When we look at 3, then Hausa, it's a house robbery and theft, not political related.
But General, are you aware that there were parallel cases, which should not necessarily be political killings, but parallel in the sense that they are related to political killings. And because they are parallel, it would make sense for those cases to be investigated separately. So they would be lumped together and be investigated together. Are you aware of that?
I am aware, Commissioner or Chair, I am aware. However, Chair, the documents specify that says, when you look at the one at Kwanongoma, number 4, it's taxi related. Now, I do understand and accept that there will be a parallel case. Sometimes it becomes a taxi related, but I don't know how it will add to political or how it will be a parallel case to political. But in some instance, you find that it's a traditional or it's a politician's son or relative that was killed for any other reason that is not political or that has got nothing to do with the work that has been done by.
But you see, General, the problem is it doesn't assist us for you to just randomly pick cases that on their face appear not to be political cases without at the same time telling us that I know for a fact that this particular case was not a parallel case. If you cannot do that, the exercise you are engaging us in does not assist at all.
General, can I, as a follow-up to this, just maybe to try and see if you're able to make your point. If you go to case number 5, in that same document, case number 5 at 357, it's at the extreme, it says traditional leader cases. Do you see where I'm looking?
I am, Chair.
Yeah. Can we then get back to what is the point that you want to make? Keep in mind the question that you were asked by Ms. Hassan, which is the PKTT only got the mandate in April 2024. And by the time April 2024, by the time the audit was done in 2025, it was only a year later. And so she was saying, but it's a short time. And your answer was no, but they've always had these cases. They could have investigated them. Let me show you. So I've referred you to that case and it has a case number. Let's take it from there. What is the point that you're seeking to illustrate?
It is cases like this one, Chair, that caused me to say, no, the mandate didn't start only in 2024, that was extended. They were in any way doing it long before. That is what I was trying to explain.
But where in this document do you find support for what you've just said? Because you asked us to go to this document.
Evidence leader, I don't know, do you have the same document that we are at?
Yes.
Number 5.
Yes.
Mudan, and it says traditional leaders. And when you look at the case number, is that of 2021.
Yes.
So I'm saying they were in any event doing it.
No, I think you're misreading this. The CAS number is 2021. The case itself, the docket, was only allocated to the PKTT when its mandate was extended. So this is a docket that was already in existence. It was from Muden and it was transferred to the PKTT. So you'll find many dockets here with CAS numbers that go back in time. And there's an explanation for it. And let me just not use my own words, but use the words of the PKTT members who came to testify.
General, just to show you that even the audit is wrong, just look at Madden on number 5, on 357. Do you see that it classifies the case as a traditional leader case?
Yes.
But that is wrong because I had asked you to go to file 2 in the handover report. Now, in the handover report, you will see on 340, Madden is classified as case number 57, CAS 74-12-2021, pointing of a firearm. It's a parallel docket. It's not a traditional. See, and this is the problem with relying on an audit that you did not do and dockets you did not see, because the handover report does not describe that case as a traditional leadership case. You can go and look at it yourself.
The last one, so that I can move out of this document.
Are you on page 340 of file 2?
340.
340 of file 2. Remember, the beauty of a handover report is that it is signed by both General Kumano and General Sentumule.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, Chair.
Whereas an unsigned draft audit report, nobody has signed it and we don't know who produced it. Now, in that unsigned SS23, it says Madden is a traditional leader case, and then it says it's a murder case, 7412-2021. But if you go to the handover report on page 340, you see that there are parallel dockets and it's 16 of them. And then case number 57, it's Madden, same case number, but it's the pointing of a firearm. It's not a murder case. And it is not a traditional leader case. Do you see that?
Just to parallel cases. Madden case 74 of 12. 2021, pointing of firearm.
General, these are your annexures. There's no way I can take a quicker time to understand them than you do.
No,
you know what I'm talking about.
I don't deny, because it's something that I also see that is being pointed out to me now, that I see now. But, and I accept, Chair, whatever weaknesses are there or exists or mistakes exist in the document. But what I wanted to just also then point out in conclusion on this one from my side, I want to say, when you look at number 7, Umar.
No, before we do that, can you accept that Madden is a parallel docket and it is a pointing of a firearm case? according to the handover report.
I accept.
And if you go to the next page, 341, starting from number 74, those are traditional leadership cases. Do you see that?
$345. Box 3.
No. General, where are you?
I'm at page 345, looking at...
No, we are in file 2. Remember, we were in file 2 on page 340, and we were looking at the Madden
This is
case,
file 2.
item number 57.
Which file, Chair?
File 2,
You know. Okay.
page 340.
Uh, 340.
And General, I apologize for being impatient. I assume that these are your annexures that you attached to your affidavit and that you knew them. This is a handover report. You must look at it. Go to page 342. Are you there?
I'm at 342.
Now, when the dockets were handed over by General Kumalo to General Sentumule on the 28th of March 2025, do you see that they both signed that document,
I do,
confirming that these are the dockets that were handed over?
I do.
And they are classified according to type of case. If you go back to 339, 56 of them are politically related. Do you see that?
Page
339.
339.
Are you there?
Yes, sir.
So you see that it's 56 politically related dockets.
I see, Chair.
Yes. And then you go to the next page, which was Chair's point. It's 16 parallel dockets. Do you see that?
I see. That.
And the first one is Madden.
I see.
Yes. You go to the next page. You've got the ad hoc dockets. It's one from East Court.
I see, Chair.
And then traditional leadership is 45. On page 341.
345.
341. The next page.
I've got it.
Yes. So you can't rely on the case numbers because a case number simply reflects the case number from the station of origin. It is not a docket opened when it is handed over to the PKTT. So when you see a case number that says 2019 in 92, case 92, you know that it doesn't mean PKTT was looking at that from 2019. It simply means in the station of origin, that docket was opened in that year.
Now, firstly, Chair, we will need, I think both of us, Chair, we will need to ascertain that fact from a case docket itself. Because now for me to just give in and say, yes, I agree, it was just only transferred after this request for funding, when in fact it may not be the case. So, but what I wanted to just point out, Chair, is that what is important, what I see here, as pointed out, it was a mistake that the Madden case that...
And there are many of them, because
yes.
I've analyzed that audit report. There are many of them.
But yes, where I want to take the Chair to is the fact that both General Kumalo and Sintumule signed for it.
No, they didn't sign the audit report. They did not sign the audit report. They signed the handover report. The audit report you are relying on is SF23. It is not signed by anybody. It is just a document that starts from nowhere and ends nowhere. And you've annexed that to your affidavit in this commission to justify your attack on the PKTT.
It it's unfortunate that Chair, that the Commissioner Kumalo see it as an attack on the PKTT, when in fact me, from where I'm coming from, as an employee of the South African Police Service, in my capacity as the Deputy National Commissioner responsible for detectives, being given an instruction by the National Commissioner to get involved and do 1, 2, 3, 4. At the later stage, then it got turned into like I'm attacking my actions or the attacking the PKTT.
But General, sorry, Ms. Hassim, General, you say you cannot accept the proposition that that killing or traditional killings matters could only have been handled by the PKTT from April. You say we would have to look deeper or further into the matter to establish what the true position is. I just do not understand that because you have accepted what the mandate was when the PKTT was established, and you have accepted that that mandate was for the investigation of political killings. And we know from the documents that my colleague, Commissioner Baloyi, and indeed before that, Ms. Hassim, drew your attention to, that the mandate to do political cases, traditional killings, is extended only in April of 2024. So I just don't understand this idea that before April 2024, possibly, as you seem to suggest, the PKTT could have investigated traditional leader killings, even before the mandate was extended. I just do not understand that. Can you explain?
Chair, from my work environment that I know, is that long before the request for funding, they were already investigating such cases of traditional leaders. It didn't just only start last year. They were already investigating it. It's a point I'm prepared to lay my neck on the block and say they didn't start now.
But you see, you took us to the document that my colleague, Commissioner Kumalo, was engaging you with, and you randomly showed us this case and that case and that case to make this point that you are making. And then I said to you, but General, you do not seem to be distinguishing between the fact that the PKTT would also investigate parallel matters. And there's a logical reason for that. You cannot split related cases or parallel cases and to have them investigated at separate places. So there was a reason for that. Now you randomly show us cases in a manner that suggests that you are not drawing that distinction. So now you are saying, but I do know that even before, I said, if you remember, I said, you seem to suggest that we will get an answer from a certain document that you were referring us to. We've gone to that document, and that's when you randomly pointed at cases in a manner that suggests that you are not factoring this distinction, the distinction between political killings and cases that are parallel to political killings. So thus far, you have not really shown us the difference you sought to show us. Now you are saying, but I know for a fact that they had started long ago. And yet you had said the answer for them starting long ago is in this document. And thus far, this document has not assisted you. So where else or from what other document or from what other evidence or Yes, evidence. Do you base the long ago?
May I just
General, as you prepare to answer that question, keep in mind also that your testimony yesterday was that you had nothing to do, you knew nothing about the PKTT, their operations, what they were doing, until you were now suddenly introduced to this. You remember we did that exercise about what did you know, at which point did you know, but your evidence yesterday was you had nothing to do with the PKTT until you were asked to sign this recommendation in April 2024. So if you say, I know for a fact they were investigating, you need to explain how would you have known that in your position? And as the chair says, where do we see that in the documents that they were in fact investigating?
You see, Chair, the line of questioning by the commissioners worries me in this sense. The chair asked me a specific question that I must respond to specifically. And just when I'm about to, because now as the chair speaks and I frame how to respond, then Commissioner Baloyi says, before you respond, then come up with a different angle, and then that goes also deeper into a different subject, or that is a different.
I withdraw my question. Answer the chair's question, and then I can ask you my question after that.
That's what I wanted to ask, Chair.
No. The two are related. The two are related. You are saying long before the mandate was extended, you know for a fact that they had already been investigating traditional leadership killings. Now, all that Commissioner Baloyi is saying, the knowledge that you are referring to, or rather, bear in mind as you show us how you know, bear in mind that you have said you were not involved at all with the PKTT until the time that you were asked to sign the document on funding in 2024. So that's all it adds. It doesn't change the complexion. It doesn't change the picture. It just says, where do you get this knowledge from, bearing in mind the fact that you say you were not involved with the PKTT?
Chair, from my side, as when this question came initially, what I remembered in my mind is that I have seen a number of these cases, and that are dated as far back as 2018, 19, 20, 2021. So it could not have been. Then the chair comes and say, all right, but do you also believe that it does not necessarily mean that they started...
When you say these cases, are you talking about traditional?
Traditional.
Yes.
So then the question comes that says, but it does not necessarily mean that because of the fact that this case, the case number is 2021, it means that they started with the PKTT in 2021. Now, my point was try to demonstrate and say they have been investigating various other cases that are not political in nature and that are also not traditional in nature. And I wanted to give an example of that case in Umkoma's case number 7, because this one is about drug related. Now, I don't know whether the drug related, it is also a parallel case to either political killing or to traditional land affairs. That's what I wanted to point.
You'll recall that earlier when we engaged before my colleague Commissioner Kumalo started engaging you, you will recall that I said it doesn't assist us for you to randomly point at or itemize cases without, as you sit there, being able to tell us that, and I know for a fact that this is not a parallel case. It's an exercise in futility that doesn't assist us at all. Do you get my point? Do you get my point, General? If you are able, I will be with you 100% if you say to me, they were already investigating cases that were outside of their mandate, and here are examples. And the examples I'm giving you are not parallel cases. I know that because, and then you give reasons. But if as you sit there, you are not able to do that, I say to you, that's a futile exercise. Do you get my point?
I hear what the chair said.
Thank you. Miss Hasim, I'm very, very sorry.
No problem at all.
Interrupted your line of questioning.
No, you've advanced it. Thank you. General, by your reasoning, there are case numbers in this report. And by the report here, I'm talking about, I think, yeah, this is your annexure, SS23. There are, if you look at the very first case on that table, page 356.
Page 356.
Yes, page 356.
SS23.
SS23, it's in file 3. It's the same one that the general took us to for the Mudan
I've
case.
got it, Chair.
Yeah. The very first case is a 2016 case.
That's correct, Chair.
Yeah. And if you just, and I'm doing a very random look here, if you look at page 416 of the same document.
I've got it, Chair.
Case number 112 is a 2011 case. Do you see that?
Yes.
But those were cases, the PKTT wasn't in existence in 2011. PKT was not in existence in 2016. So these case numbers, as we were trying to say, are cases that originated elsewhere and were then allocated to the PKTT. Do you see that?
I see, and I don't agree.
Well, the PKT didn't exist in 2011.
In 2016, it did exist.
Not this PKTT that we're talking about now. It didn't exist.
The PKTT did exist, and there were some challenges about that one, apparently, that says it worked in silos and then closed down and a new one started.
That's right.
But
That
it
was a
did
different
exist.
task team. It was a different task team.
It was a political task team.
Yes, but the mandate, this task team, came about in 2018 when there was a request by the president for a task team to be established to deal with the problem once and for all, because it was an intractable problem. That was in 2018.
I understand.
Okay, thanks. So you can't rely on these case numbers is the first point. The second thing is, if you look at Colonel Khumalo's statement, and in fact, you don't need to go there. Let me just tell you what he says for now.
Can I do this again just to illustrate the point? And sorry to do this to you. Even that for many 1112 case, the audit is wrong because on page 339 of the other file, that is a 2017 case and not a 2011 case. So just a simple analysis of this audit report tells you that just a simple analysis of this audit report. So you'll see if you go to file 3, it starts well, item 13. It says cast number 7611. So you know it's the same one. But then there it says 2017. Now in the audit report, it says 2011.
What I just must indicate, Chair, whilst I see the pointing out by the commissioners, even myself, I relied on this document as it was provided to me, and it has been used in every platform. And I may still do the same and say, let's take the one that was provided by, let's say Colonel Kumalo or themselves. If someone else was to look at that document also and to look for mistakes or loopholes, you may still come across one or two mistakes. So I do understand. I do understand and accept. But I'm saying a person is able to draft something, but you will find that the next person who must also look at it sees a mistake or two, and that the other one could not pick up. So I'm not saying I do see, and unfortunately, this is what I have in front of me at this point in time.
That's fine. Thanks, General. Just to close up on the traditional leader-related cases, what Colonel Kumalo says is that by way of example, we received 50 traditional leader killing dockets in late April 2024. So after the extension of the mandate of the PKTT to include this category of crime. He says they received 50 traditional leader killing dockets. Some were not new matters and thus difficult to find new leads. So 50 dockets, traditional leader, were assigned in late April 2024. And in the handover, 45 or 46 of that audit were made up of traditional leader cases. Do you see the point?
I do.
So your contention that there was a delay in investigation, first of all, your reference to the CAS numbers, we've dealt with that. Second, where you refer to traditional leader cases to show these cases were just there was no progress on it. They only received it in late April 2024. So they had very little time to work on that. Isn't that so?
I'll still not agree with it, because even if you receive them in late 2024, the bottom line is that if that was the case, still in each and every docket, we need to see that you have done something on those specific dockets. Not that you'll find that the last entry made was in 2018 or 2019.
Okay. Let's deal with that. Have you consulted, did your team or yourself consult with the PKTT when you were doing this audit to understand how these cases were investigated? Did you consult with anyone? Did you say, can we talk to you about it?
I find the question very unfair, in a sense that in my case is at the point when I was actually being suspended. I think the atmosphere was already not a normal atmosphere where the question can say, did you consult? It was during that period when I got to be suspended myself.
When was the audit done? In May?
Yes.
When were you suspended?
I was suspended in July.
Right.
But this I didn't get long before that. I got it around about that time as well.
When did you get it?
Somewhere around July or June, somewhere there, just before.
Before you were suspended?
Yes.
And this was done in May?
Yes.
The audit report?
Yes.
Okay. If you didn't consult directly, do you know whether your team consulted?
I take it because it was under General Sintumule and with the team, Brigadier Kupoditata. I think themselves, I wasn't directly dealing with the process. General Sintumule was working with General Kumalo, so I wasn't directly involved.
So you see, the problem is that you hold of you and you've come to the commission to say there are dockets that are in this state, there are dockets where there was no investigation, but you weren't involved in it. You don't actually know. So you're speculating, and you didn't engage with the investigators on any of those dockets to clarify or to get information from them about how they were investigating it. Right? You come to make contentions based on that audit report.
I don't
But then
agree.
you say you were not involved in it, and so you can't answer certain questions.
I really don't agree with you, unfortunately, evidence leader, because you can't say I'm speculating and I come here and I talk about things that I don't know. I am part of this process. I'm part of the management. I may not have been the one who conducted the inspection, but the report came to me. It's as good as you saying to the National Commissioner, you can't talk about these things because you didn't see this, you didn't check this, you were not involved in this. It's not a fair question.
No, it's not that you can't talk about it. It's that if you come and make a claim, that your claim must have some basis.
It does have some basis because I do have, unless I'm proposing that this docket be here, so that when I talk about a specific copies were made. When I talk about a specific case and say, here is this case, this is the last entry that was made, then we put it aside. Then it won't be regarded as a claim because it will be showing documentary evidence.
General, can I just ask this? Now that you know that General Kumalo says they received 50 dockets of killings of traditional leaders in April 2024, we know that now from his statement. And for purposes of my question, let's accept that to be correct for purposes of this engagement. Do you still persist in your criticism, comment, whatever you want to call it, that in fact they did no work on this? You're criticizing them that they did no work after they got the dockets in April. Do you still persist in that position?
I still persist they did no work in those cases.
From April?
From I don't know since when they've been having those dockets.
He tells us that they were given the docket. They got the mandate in April and they got 50 dockets in April. So let's keep those facts constant, right? That the mandate was in April. They got the dockets, 50 dockets. Let's go with what he says. That's how I'm formulating my question. Knowing that, or even for purposes of this discussion, accepting that, let's assume that he's correct, that they got 50 dockets in 2024, not before that, in 2024. Are you saying you still persist in your criticism that from 2024, when they got the dockets, to the day that the dockets were removed from them, they had not done any meaningful work? And so they are open to criticism.
Once again, Chair, I want to put something on the table. It looks like everything that comes with General Kumalo or General Masemola is a gospel truth and it's accepted and is the truth. And anything that comes that negates that and that refuses or does not agree is a claim, or why do you say this? To me, it's a problem in a sense that what General Kumalo says and what we say, now for the chair to make a good determination, we need other witnesses or other dockets or evidence in front of us.
Let me stop you. What from my question makes you say that? What in the way that I formulated my question makes you say that I've taken what General Kumalo as gospel truth and what you're saying is questioned? And I'm asking not to be argumentative because I really am interested in an answer to my original question. So I want to clarify to the extent that you tell me what it is in my question makes you say, I take it as gospel truth. I want to clarify myself so that you understand that's not what I'm doing.
And in responding to the commissioner's question, I want to start it from where the evidence leader is saying, reading from Colonel Kumalo's statement.
Yeah, no,
I say, this
no,
is what
General.
he said.
No, I have to stop you. Please forget what the evidence leader has said. All she's read what she says is contained in a statement of General Kumal. I formed my question this way. I said, assume for purposes of our discussion. Let's assume that is true. That's not an indication, at least from where I sit. It's not an indication that I accept the truthfulness of that statement. That's why I said, let's assume for purposes of our discussion that he is correct when he says they only got they got 50 dockets in April. Would, on that assumption, assuming that to be correct, and maybe it's not correct, that's what an assumption means. When I say assume, the converse of it is I'm not taking it as truth. Assume that what he tells us is correct or is the case. They got 50 dockets in April, mandate extended in April, therefore the budget allocation happens sometimes after you have approved an extension of allocation of budget. Do you still say that from that period when they got the dockets and got their mandate and when the dockets were audited, do you still say, well, too much time passed in that window? Too much time passed. They should have been more than this, so they are useless. Do you still say that?
That's what I'm saying, Chair.
Okay. I had asked you what is it in my question that made you say that or think that I am accepting his statement as the gospel truth. Are you able to answer that even after I've said to you, let's assume?
It's when the chair says to me, when the commissioner says to me it appeared as though the commissioner believed in what General Kumalo is saying, that says we only received or started this mandate in 2024. And when I look at their existence over a period of time, there are many investigations that...
I think you've answered me. Remember, you tend to go, you tend to answer things that are not flowing from the question that's been asked. I think the last question I asked you was, what is it in what I have said that made you believe that I've taken his statement as gospel truth? That was my question. And I think you say, you repeat from what I've said. That's fine. That's what the answer is. Thank you. Mr. Sim.
Thank you, Commissioner Beloy. General, my question about whether there had been any discussion with the members and the investigators in the team is because there is an explanation that's provided for those dockets where it appears that there's been no movement with reference to the C-clip, or where there genuinely has been no movement in a case and the explanations for it. And I just want to tell you what these explanations are. For this purpose, we go back to Colonel Kamado's statement. And I'm not going to read through in detail. I just want to highlight the few points because this question was obviously, or this issue, this accusation was obviously something that they took seriously and provided a statement in which they analyzed the dockets. And there are a few things that he said. The first is that the dockets that are handed over to the PKTT are particularly complex due to the nature of the cases, which are often linked to political assassinations where the true orchestrators of the hits remain concealed. So the first thing he says is, bear in mind that what we are being given are complex matters. That's why the task team was
Advocate Hazim, where are you reading from?
Colonel Kamala's statement. It's at
You said general, that's why.
sorry, I thought I said Colonel. Sorry, it's page 265. File 4. And it's paragraph 4. Second, he says at paragraph 5, do you have it, General?
Paragraph?
5.
No, not yet. Which file?
It's also projected on the screen if that's of any use.
267. I've got it.
Okay. Paragraph 5, he says, it's important to note that dockets are sometimes transferred to the PKTT after they have already been opened at their station of origin. In many instances, these cases only reach the task team when the originating police station has failed to detect meaningful leads or progress in the investigation. This means the PKTT inherits dockets that have already encountered significant investigative challenges. In paragraph 6, he says, additionally, it should be noted that the cases assigned to the sometimes the cases assigned to the PKTT are quite old, which makes the process of trying to find new leads even harder. And then a little bit further down in the same paragraph, he says, in these cases, we do not close the case because it is undetected. Instead, we pinpoint distinguishing features of the murder like weapon use, vehicle used, modus of the perpetrators. Once we see these features in another crime, we investigate the old and new docket together, what they've described elsewhere as the signatures. And then finally, if you go to paragraph 28 of the statement.
Can I?
Finally, when you go to paragraph 28.
Can I comment before we get there?
Let me just finish his reasons and then you can comment.
Perhaps let him comment, Mr. Hassim.
Yeah, because I'm not writing, Chair, and I lose the trail of thought. Now I want to comment on this, and as you go along, is something else that I would also need to comment on. So please allow me.
Okay, go ahead.
You see, there's a manner of managing a docket, a case docket management, and how the manner of closure, on how we close the docket. In an attempt to qualify or justify why the dockets are not attended to say we do not close the docket. Remember how General Kumalo put it in Parliament. He says we don't put docket in a fridge, in a freezer. We put them in a fridge. In the detective language, there's nothing like that. You close the docket undetected, or you file the docket, but you do close the docket if you close the docket and you put it away. And then when there is a hit, the hit will automatically be created by the system that will prompt the investigating officer to go and pull the docket and then insert the docket and charge the person. So you don't keep the docket somewhere in a corner and then you say, no, we keep them, we're looking for to compare whether with a murder weapon or looking for other features. It's not how you won't be able with your naked eye or your thinking. Just expect that, okay, because of this modus operandi and that modus operandi, it will automatically look like this docket, then you pull it. You close the docket if it's undetected. If it is a docket that needs to be closed, or let's say you file it or it's withdrawn, you close it. Then you don't keep them with you. Then they are stored. You run with the cases that are alive, that you are investigating. Now, should you come across, let's say, for an example, the same weapon that was used at a particular scene of crime, the system, when the ballistic picks it up, the system will hit. And as it hit, then it tells you that this weapon was also used at that particular. That's when that docket gets pulled and used. So that is why what I want to comment and say, the reasoning here also doesn't really make sense to me, but I will accept it. It's being read by the commission, but it doesn't make sense.
No, I accept that. I think that this task team has a particular operational method that they spend some time talking about, which is their method. And you may not agree with the method, and you might even say it's not proper, the method. That's not really why I'm citing these reasons to you that were provided by Colonel Khumalo. The purpose of it is to say that, and as it goes on, including paragraph 28, is to explain, and again, not commenting on whether it's a good method of investigation or not, but that they were investigating. And he put up the taskings from their weekly meetings and described it. So the only point of this is to say there was a long explanation of the methodology. And when I asked whether there had been any discussion with the task team or individual investigators, the reason is that in a conversation, things might have become clearer to say, well, okay, so you were investigating, and maybe there needed to be some other action taken to say that this is not the proper way of investigating, but it's not that there was no investigation. But you wouldn't know that, and the team who did this wouldn't know that because they didn't consult with the investigators. That's really what I'm putting to you.
Can I comment?
Absolutely.
Chair, I know that General Khumalo came here and spoke about methodology, the methodology we use. The methodology they are using is very wrong and far from being right. Because, and he also mentioned it, and he says, to us as the PKTT, we all own a docket. Nobody can actually work alone on a docket. Yes, I agree. This is when you work with projects like in the DPCI or the old Scorpions or maybe IDEC. Now there you work in teams. Now, you cannot all own one docket. If, for an example, in the world of investigation, looking at the whole country, with each and every investigating officer having between more than 100 to 300 cases, 300 to 400, 500 to 600 cases, that methodology is not working because you can't all own. You've got 100, you've got 200, you've got 500, you've got 600. Now we can't all say we're owning this docket.
Yeah, but General, what is the point you're addressing? They have a methodology. They have reported successes. You disagree with their methodology, but they have given reports that they have succeeded. You are the one witness, and you can correct me if you're aware of another witness. You are the one witness that is saying, oh, they have not been that successful after all. I'm told General Mutsipe also said the same, but they've reported successes. You approved funding, it must be, because you were accepting what you were told, that they were successful. We know they started out with 612 case dockets. By the time you took the dockets from them, or you said they must go to where General Sintumule designates, we were now at 121 dockets. So we know, on the evidence before us, work was done, and I don't think you can speak for as long as you want, and in whatever way you explain it. You cannot change the facts, whatever they signify. You can't change the fact that when they started out, they had 612 dockets. And by the time the dockets were taken from them, the dockets were at 121. Some of them were ready for the prosecutor and all of that. That's what we are concerned about. We are not being asked to evaluate their methodology. And I'm not sure your explaining how bad their methodology is, how good yours is, helps any of the questions that we are required to answer. The simple proposition that was being put to you by Ms. Hassim is that you have expressed a view that they said with dockets, look at the age when the last recording of what was done is, look at that. A docket has been sitting since 2019. They haven't looked at it. That's the basis of your criticism or your comment. Ms. Hassim says, here's an explanation. They've given an explanation for it. You may not like the explanation. You may not like their method of putting dockets aside until they get a hit, but they have given an explanation of how they work. And we are not evaluating whether the way they work is good or not. It's certainly not our terms of reference. So I'm not sure, unless you explain why we should spend more time with you explaining how investigations are done, how dockets generally are dealt with. If you don't explain why that is relevant to our terms of reference, I'm not sure that we are using the time usefully. You may comment if you want to.
Personally, Chair, I don't think this is really helping the police in building capacity for the police, because let us attempt to have the same capacity that we have in KZN in all the provinces, and same budget in all the provinces, same modus operandi, methodology they are using. I don't know if it is sustainable and it will actually work.
Okay.
But at this point in time, because it is now a small team that is based in KZN and well-resourced and supported, and that is it seems like it is a recommended methodology that should be implemented throughout the country. But as far as I'm concerned, it's not helping the police at all.
I understand the point that you were making. Thank you.
I'm not sure anymore where you are, General. My question to you was just in relation to, it's not about whether their methodology is a sound one or not a sound one. It seems to be effective. You yesterday said that yourself, that all the 9 districts have stabilized, that they had under their purview. So it seems to be effective. But I'm not sure that I want to take this any further, Chair. I think we can move on.
I think you wanted to take us to 280, 28.5. I think it's useful that you...
Oh, sorry, did I leave something out?
Yes.
Oh, I did want to go there, but
Yes.
then I got distracted.
Sorry about that.
Yes. At 28.5, what Colonel Khumalo says is, just because the C-clip does not have an entry, it does not mean work has not been done. If the handing over of the dockets had been done with some consideration and planning, these task lists could have been included in the dockets to show the true status of the investigations.
And then maybe 28.4, sorry about that, because it explains what a task list is.
Yes. In fact, it's actually, I went to paragraph 28 because it starts from, we dealt with the traditional leader, and then it's the signatures for each dockets and how they generate the leads. And then 28.4 is, considering the investigation diary alone is not a basis to include that no work is being done on a particular docket. That's what he's saying. You can't consider the investigation diary alone. As noted earlier, dockets are analyzed together with all the various specialties around the table. We then develop a task list with daily, weekly reporting. This list is what we use to track activities and progress on the investigations. An example of a task list is attached as Annexure NPK 5. I have also prepared an example based on cases where it may have looked like there were no investigations in the last year or two. The extracted task list is attached as NPK 6. And then in 28.5, just because the C-clip does not have an entry, it doesn't mean no work has been done. And I think for me, this is really the important point that I was trying to put to you. It's the following. It's that if the handing over of the dockets had been done with some consideration and planning, these task lists could have been included in the dockets to show the true status of the investigations. So that's really why I had asked you the question, is that this was a very rushed and hurried process. And in the absence of having a planning and a considered and a collaborative, cooperative process, these task lists and this information was not made available to the team that did the audit report. Had it been made available, the picture or the comments of the Motsepe report might have been different. You can comment on that.
My problem is that you, evidence leader, what Colonel Khumalo is saying there is not correct. And he's not an investigating officer. It's not a trained detective. But I'm saying, why I'm saying also that what he's saying is also not right. You cannot say that the fact that the investigation diary is not written does not necessarily mean that work has not been done. It can't be. As a detective or as a policeman, you've got a pocket book and you've got the investigation, you've got your docket and you've got your diary. You will write your diary, but you will also make sure that whatever investigation that you do per docket, you make entries in whatever that you need all step of the way. All the time you work on this docket, you do write something on the docket. So now, I just want to say that the fact that no entries were made in a case docket does not necessarily mean that work was not done. It can't be correct and it can't be accepted as well.
No, I hear what you're saying, that that's not proper. I hear that. And I'm not commenting on that at all. All I'm saying is that there's the improper or not, there was information to show that investigations had been ongoing. And if there had been a consultation process, that would have been made available. I mean, you must agree with that there would have been a discussion on that.
No. Let's say you have the docket, the investigation diary is not written. It happened that all of a sudden, when you go home, you get knocked by a car and you die. And you know what work was done, but the docket, nothing is written in the docket, no work was done. According to us, we're going to run to the investigation diary. The only person when we are going to allocate the docket, we're going to allocate the docket to a new investigator. When he opens the docket, he sees what work was done up to where you ended. Now, the fact that you ended since in 2020, then you say, no, it doesn't mean that no work was done. Whatever work was done, that was in your head. You gone with that work.
Let me just stop you there, because that's not what he said. It wasn't in his head. He produced so they capture it in a different way, not in the C-clip. So it's not that it's not captured. It's captured in a different way and in quite a lot of detail. So that was the point he was making. And all I'm saying to you, I don't want to get into a debate. It's certainly not my province about what is appropriate investigation methods and what isn't. The only point I'm making is that if there had been a considered process, there would have been a discussion with the team about the status of the investigations. That's all.
I think the purpose, and I must have indicated it, that they must sit together, General Khumalo and General Sintumule, exchange information, do a proper handing over that will include those type of discussions, if there's any. As far as I'm concerned, the purpose for General Sintumul and General Kumalo to meet was to now come up with a way forward on what and how do we take the process forward, including them sitting together with investigators and consulting with one another to make sure that they update each other and do what was necessary. So it never happened. Really, I can't account for that part. All I know is that those that reported to me at that time is the two that I spoke to that had to meet. And in my meeting with them, they met and they did a handing over. My role is done, other than just to oversee now that the process is finalized.
Okay, no, that's fine. But you agree that that would have been a better process?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Chair, I'm going to move on to an entirely different, I'm leaving the topic of the disbandment and dockets and all of that entirely. But I see that it's 4:45.
Do you want to start it now? Or Monday? Because we just must adjourn at 4 o'clock.
I don't think it's 15 minutes to go. It's an entirely new area. As reluctant as I am, I think it's probably better to leave it.
Today, I'm not risking asking Ms. Killian because she just again might say we must go on.
I think to be fair to me, Chair, I think that today, because yesterday you asked Ms. Killian and not me, so I think today I should carry the vote.
So let's adjourn and resume at 9:30 on Monday.
Thank you.